This is unrelated to all of the dropping Warframe videos that came out this year. I already made a video talking about some of the issues I had with Warframe a while ago while drunk, and planned on making another one, but I got kinda lazy, so it got delayed a lot. Warframe has many problems, from the lack of content to its rewards to the general structure of the game. If I had to summarize the main crux of its issues, it's that Warframe reuses content. Warframe's endgame is its weapons. Unlike many other games where you grind, you get your builds and your weapons together to go beat the end of the game, to go into these higher levels and fight the harder enemies, the weapons and builds in those games are in service to the tougher content. They are what you need to survive. And in Warframe, its endgame is the weapons. It is the grind, because there's no new content to play. Once you complete the star chart, the only thing there's really to do is to min-max your builds and redo old missions. Log in for the daily sortie that you are already overpowered for, and then get stronger guns to make that sortie easier. Do ESO for relics, even though you can get relics everywhere else, to get prime weapons, which probably are worse than the ones that you have now, and if they're better, well, it's not like you were struggling anyway, so I guess you can do ESO slightly easier now. It's getting to the point where I'm not excited for new Warframes. What? Instead of using Mason arbitration, I can use Ghost? What? I can use Grendel for ESO instead of Saren? I mean, you gotta get what point I'm trying to make here. And games like Borderlands and Destiny, I said the word Destiny, you know, games like that, looter shooters, the new weapons and builds go in tangent with the new content that you need to tackle. But once you finish Earth on Warframe, everything after that is just mostly the same. And now, I'm not about to restructure and reinvent the entire game. I can suggest ways to push Warframe in a better direction with my How to Change Warframe for the Better video. The point of this is ultimately make the game more fun by increasing its replay value and added some diversity to its content and builds. I've broken each part of Warframe I'm going to cover into sections because that's easier, and we'll just go from one to the next. Also, I know Warframe players are really bad at hearing their game has problems, so if this video really gets under your skin, please just mute the video and let it play to the end so I get the viewer attention. Then after the end, you can tell me how wrong I am. I think the last time I complained about Warframe, some MR28 guy said, "Oh, you're only MR15. How can you say the game has no content?" Like my guy, I saw everything in the game had to offer at like MR8. I'm not gonna waste time ranking up bad weapons because there's nothing else to do in the game. I honestly don't even know why people try to get to MR. Whatever. Oh, I'm reading the subreddit after I wrote this script for this video, and like every criticism about the game just gets mass downvoted, and everyone goes, oh, the game has content, casuals of the future, man, your vets need to get out of here. And okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Starting the video. So we're going to start with the missions in Warframe. Warframe has 19 different mission types according to the wiki, 20 if you include arbitrations, which for the purposes of this video I will. These function perfectly fine as game modes, but I like to separate the mission types into two groups, the basic missions and the advanced missions. Basic meaning they focus on one core easy mechanic, and the advanced mission type would be a variation of that basic mission, but with a twist to make it more difficult or volatile. For example, extermination is just your run-of-the-mill, go kill a bunch of dives, collect rewards. In the advanced version of that would be Sanctuary Onslaught, where it's extermination. We have to kill enemies quickly enough to keep the bar high or you'll fail the mission. Or how survivals just don't die, and arbitration is don't die, but if you die you can't revive. See, simple enough. And as I said, for content this works fine, but in my opinion these mission types lack the variety that other games have, which is my biggest problem with Warframe. Because of how basic the missions are and how dumb the AI is, we all experience the same game. My Warframe playthrough isn't unique to me. My grind on Hydron will likely be the exact same for you. And while that's partly a problem with the enemy types and the AI, right now we're just going to start with the missions. First change, increase the spawn rate for enemies across the board, every mission. I don't care. There is no excuse for a game to be this fast paced with files of 4 players and Warframes that can nuke entire tile sets to have spawn rates this bad. I legit have downtown the missions waiting for enemies to pop up. And I think this should scale to how many players are in the party, and I'm sure it already does. At least I hope it does, CE. But more players, more enemies, I don't see a problem here. I was also considering a possibility of a Diablo-style system where the game also gets harder and the rewards get better depending on how big the party is. And initially I was like, well, that might make some Warframes irrelevant because they aren't good enough in the full party if the game gets harder, but you know, we need some harder content, so Yeah, just put that in there. All missions should have 2 reward tables. There, I said it. None of this 50 endo bullshit. All missions should have a separate rewards list so that if a mission type offers a resource like credits or endo or coordinates, you should get that resource in addition to whatever other rewards it might have for completing that mission. I almost want to take resources out of the mission rewards altogether and just put them on enemies because I'm tired of playing these missions and getting 1,000 credits as a reward. I'm already rich, Warframe. Give me literally anything else, please. For the love of God, I don't want credits. So with this change, I get my credits and my relics or whatever else the mission might have for completing it. With those 2 things being said, there should be mission types with added effects similar to the sorties. Imagine it. Extermination missions, but there is low gravities. Survival, but the enemies do twice the knockback, so you're kind of just getting ragdoll all over the place. Some of them can be more fun, like low gravity, less traction, exploding barrels, I don't know. While others can be like buff to enemy damage and armor. Maybe enemies move twice the speed but only have melee weapons. The possibilities are endless, and by incorporating this into other parts of the game, we can create more fun experiences while playing. Maybe it should be for every missioner or any mission above a certain level, or just certain mission types like the advanced missions I mentioned earlier. Another thing is bosses should be thrown into the enemy pool. Imagine it, you're 10 waves into your survival mission and Vor shows up or something. It could be something like that, I don't know, for either, I don't know, every mission or just certain ones. Maybe every rotation, every 5 waves you get a mini boss, and every 10 waves you get to fight one of the actual bosses in the game. And that boss could even have their own effect, like Vor comes in and enemies have a chance to start teleporting like he does. Hell, maybe every rotation introduces a new effect for that mission. And maybe some of them stay for their entire run and some of them just switch out every new rotation. Now, while I'm trying to figure out which missions should and shouldn't have this feature, should there just be like a boss rush mode where bosses will be thrown into the enemy pool, or should it just be all missions, or just at higher level ones like I said? So while that gets worked out, I thought, why not just make quests? So completing every node in the game will unlock arbitration. Arbitration kind of sucks because there's no reason to do it, but let's reward the players in another way for completing the nodes. If you complete all the nodes for a planet similar to nightmare mode, you will unlock a daily or weekly quest for that planet, and within that quest you can have a lot of features that I already mentioned. Quests that have a high chance of added effects for the mission, quests that can and will at times throw bosses at you, quests that have a better rewards pool and can offer specific items. You can even have quests that blend together game modes. It starts off as an extermination mission, and after killing everyone you must break into their systems like a spy mission. A rescue mission that turns into a defense mission because there's intel the capturer needs to get. Like I said, I don't know which mission types should include bosses and which should have added effects, or when the effects would take place. Would it be every rotation? Would it be just one for the whole run? But at the very least, we can have quests that do that for us. Quests that can include a lot of deviation from the normal game types that add a lot of fun to the game, so people aren't just logging in for their sorties and leaving. Yeah. And there's one last thing that I want to change, and that's to the advanced mission types. These mission types work for me because they take an already basic concept and put a twist on it to make the missions more engaging. I think the best way to showcase this is disruption. Mobile defense is one of my favorite game types because it keeps you mobile, and each rotation takes maybe 2 minutes to complete, so the game mode goes by pretty quickly. And you can also defend several points at once, so you can even speed it up. Disruption is an extension of that, but each defense point can have added effects. And it also includes a mini boss that once killed will complete that rotation, so you don't have to wait the timer out. It's my favorite mission type because it's fast paced, it keeps you mobile, and it introduces a mechanic where good players are rewarded for being good at the game. By that I mean you can play it like a normal mobile defense mission, you can camp the spot and just kill the boss when it comes in range, but the better players with stronger builds and team competition will be rewarded by going out and killing the demolition. And imagine if that demolition was alot V. And that's what I like, you can play it normally just fine, but you're also rewarded for being better. And I feel like all the advanced mission types should work like this. Like in ESO, keeping the bar above 95% or something might speed up the mission, I don't know. Maybe it raises the drop chances for certain parts, like Korra. Now on to the enemies. One of the biggest problems with Warframe, but besides the lack of content, is that the enemies don't really do anything, really. One of my favorite gaming franchises was the Halo series. Me and my friend would spend hours every day in the firefight modes because frankly each time we went in felt different. The way the enemies moved, what positions they took, and how they planned around the other units they had added enough variety that no one playthrough was the same. Can't really say the same for Warframe though. Outside of the mission objective, for the most part a spy mission will feel exactly the same as an extermination mission because of the enemy AI. So let's change that. Give the enemies more options, expand their move pool. They might honestly already have a decent move pool, so maybe their behavior and chances just need to be changed? I know it's fun when all the enemies rush you in a horde shooter, but imagine if because this grenade recognized that there was a butcher running at me, maybe, just maybe, he stayed further back and took pot shots at me to apply more pressure on players. Or like, imagine if enemies could recognize that their units had its shield and move behind them, using it as cover while they shot at you. Or imagine, right? If the only support unit on the field, the only one capable of absorbing damage for the other units, wasn't so eager to get shot in the face. I know, so revolutionary ideas. Who could have thought of this? Like, imagine if the ancient healer just stood over there and I just had to notice that the infested were getting a damage reduction and then go find them. Or just taking it a step from there, what if the ancient had a slight chance to just spawn infested? So instead of 4 or 5 infested rushing at you, what if, say, I don't know, out the corner of your eye, you seen the Asian just raise his hand and gives a signal, just fucking 20 just pour out of all the doors, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, and now you're getting...
Oh my god!
Like, could you imagine how nerve-wracking that would be in a long survival run, and you see an ancient and you want to get to him before he even has the chance to just spawn 40 enemies on you. I mean, 40 would be a bit too much, but you get the point. Like, that could be so much fun. And that doesn't have to be the only behavior they have, but by introducing new behaviors and moves and tweaking the percentage of existing ones, we can start to make each run feel that more different and unique. You can actually have stories to tell, like in Halo Reach. There's a sniper mission that lets you show how big your cojones are by throwing yourself off a cliff to get an assassination on an enemy. An assassination is an instant kill by hitting the enemy's back, and if you hit the enemy's back, you won't take fall damage because, you know, like animation canceling and stuff like that. But sometimes, you know, he just moves at the last second, and it's hilarious because as you just go splat into the ground. But what happens in Warframe? Yo, dude, I was grinding on Hydra and all the enemies rushed me from the spawn point and killed me, and you're just like, yeah, bro, that happens to me too. Yo, dog, I was doing an infested mission and the ancient healer just smacked me in the face. Yeah, man, that kind of happens. That's like all they do. And as I said in the missions part, just introduce mini bosses. See that guy over there? Bam, he's a grand butcher now. This can make the missions feel more interesting. And we can even have assassination quests that target mini bosses. Maybe the mini bosses also get their own random effects. Like while he's out, all enemies do more melee damage, who knows? There's so much that the game could be doing that it's just not. And some of these are just basic changes, but they all come together to raise the tension a bit and keep the player thinking. That grand butcher might be the same as any other butcher, but in my mind, I still see a stronger enemy. In my mind, if the bombers randomly start trying to stab me, I go, there's a grand butcher somewhere. And that's what mini bosses can do. They can change the behavior of other units on the field. They can provide buffs. They can come in with their own effects, like enemies don't get knocked down, to spice up the gameplay. One last tidbit, make differences between the factions, please. Like, sure, the infested behave differently on the count of being infested, but the Grenadier and the Corpus practically behave the exact same way, and that's pretty boring. Make faction exclusive behaviors, please. Fighting the Grenadier shouldn't be the same as fighting the Corpus. Now on to the rewards. Firstly, I realized there might be a problem with the 2 drop tables for mission rewards, where I said that all missions should offer resources in addition to an actual drop. The problem with this is the only mission rewards are relics. I don't know how I didn't notice this until now. So there's no easy way to say this, but the game needs more rewards CE. I have enough relics. Not only do I have enough relics, but everything gives me relics CE. Everything. Everything doesn't need to be a relic farm. And since the only things in this game to get are relics and resources to build things, I have a few radical changes. Starting with the least radical change, put all of the cosmetics, skins, and armors into the drop table. Let people be able to get cosmetics from either enemy drops or mission rewards. You can still sell special release skins like Tenogen, I don't even know what that is, but whatever, just you can still sell things like that. But it's so cool in games like Borderlands or that game that everyone doesn't want to hear, when you're grinding and playing the game and happen across a rare skin or drop for your character. We can have that for Warframe. And if you for some reason don't think you have enough skins, look, you see what I just did? Throw that in the drop table. Or better yet, you have over 300 employees. Go grab Brandon and 3 friends and say, look, you have 2 months to come up with 5 random skins for anything. Could be 2 Warframes and 3 secondaries. Doesn't matter. Hell, we'll even pick a theme for you to make it easier. This rotation will be Egyptian themed, all gold and browns. So go forth, Brandon. You have 2 months to make 5 colored skins. I'm sure someone there is a graphic designer who can just Microsoft paint some shit together in 2 months. And every 3 months or so we have new skins thrown into the drop table. They don't have to be fancy, it just adds more flavor to the game. My second more radical change is to get rid of the market. Destroy it. You can maybe keep it for resources and other stuff, but take all of the weapon blueprints and throw them into the drop table. Let people have to play the game to get these. Sort all of the weapons by MR and spread them across the planets to scale to the difficulty. Low MR weapons for early missions, higher MR weapons for later missions. You can even throw some into the ESO, arbitration, etc. You want that, I don't know, Soma? Go do some arbitration, buddy. Play the game. This way it actually feels like you're getting something for playing the game. When I do a mission on Setna, I can feel rewarded because maybe I get an Ember skin and a blueprint for the Tigress. Even more radical, take the Riven system, and every weapon once dropped will have its stats altered based on its Riven disposition. Maybe the base damage stays the same, but you see that Soma with a Riven disposition of, I don't know, probably like 3 or something. Just like how Rivens work, but its base stats will change based on how high its disposition is. And if Rivens will be totally broken in addition to having weapons base stats being changed, then just get rid of Rivens and let players trade the weapons. This way we have reasons to replay older missions, because it's possible to get a Bratton with good stats. This way we can have some better build diversities, because maybe you found a high status Tigress Prime, so 4 of your mod slots don't have to be used for dual stats. My Tigress Prime build might actually be different than yours without it being strictly worse. This way we can have quests that offer good drops for players. You finish Nightwave to completion? Here's a Baza with twice the magazine clip. Like, there's so much potential that it's just wasted because the devs don't want to experiment and try new things. And sure, that probably changes a lot of things. Will that make weapons broken once you start to mod them? Wouldn't that ruin the weapon tiers because I can suddenly find a starter Bratton that's as good as my Tigress unmodded? And while that might be true, wouldn't it be more fun if you found a good drop for the weapon you like instead of being forced to use a weapon you don't because it's better? And sure, Rivens were supposed to help with that, but there's only one way to get a Riven for free. You get 1 attempt a day, and it has a low chance to even get a Riven. And then if you did get a Riven, whether or not it's a primary or secondary or melee weapon, and then on top of that, it might unveil for a shit weapon that you don't even want to use. So I think the Riven system sucks, honestly. It's hard to get a Riven, it's hard to get a Riven for something you actually want to use, and if you're forced to buy one, then hopefully you just have 1,000 plat lying around, because Jesus Christ, holy Christ, Jesus, mother of Lord, God, I hate the Riven system so much, and I hate the Riven market so much. The other thing is, I don't know how this would affect prime weapons. It would be pretty ridiculous to go grind for relics and then go grind, sorry, I missed a bit of grind in that sentence. It would be pretty ridiculous to go grind for fishers and then grind for relics and then grind for prime parts and then have to put up with some god awful version of the Atlas Prime because the one you happen to get just had worse stats. My initial fix for this would be to just remove prime blueprints for weapons from relics, and it's like put them into the void as enemy drops, or I don't know, like mission rewards or something. So while you use relics to get prime parts, you can just go farm the void for the blueprints and just pick which version of the Tigress Prime from the drops that you have that you want to build. You know, maybe some blueprints can be on bosses, some of the planes. Hell, I'm so close to just chalking the relic system all together and just throwing all of the prime parts back into the void and maybe some other places, and then expanding the void and raising the difficulty, since that would be the spot to farm prime weapons. I mean, at this point, I think the void itself just needs to be reworked. It is the void, and it plays the same as anything else in Warframe, but that's besides the point. We'll talk about that a bit later. Like, these things can be worked out later. I just really like the idea of playing the game and feeling like I get something for doing these missions that's not a relic or resources to build things. Players should feel like these missions are worth doing, because right now they really aren't. And oh, I just thought of something. What if we actually had fun mods? Not just good mods, but fun mods that change how your weapons work. Like the Fulmination mod, which make the blast radius for weapons bigger. We can have mods that make bullets bigger, mods that make bullets explode upon hitting something. It could be a mod that gives every weapon an alt fire that immediately empties your clip into whatever poor bastard was standing in front of you. Maybe more mods that alter the spread for weapons, the same way shotguns have that was it vicious spread or vacuous spread. Like, there are so many things that DE could be doing with their mods that they just aren't. Not all mods have to be, damage buffs, but some of them can just be fun mods that alter how the gun works. I also want to change Nightwave. Nightwave should be the game's biggest event, in my opinion. The thing all players should be working towards. Forget all the kill 50 enemies with corrosive damage or whatever nonsense. Imagine it's something like this. Imagine that this Nightwave was slime. Imagine this Nightwave was Keladithime themed. And because Thime is about arenas, you gotta do all the arena stuff. And as you progress through Nightwaves, you get Nightwave exclusive skins and drops and resources. The more you progress, you learn some story bits and lore about Thime. Their arena modes are changing, the difficulty is scaling the further you get in Nightwave. You have added effects like, I don't know, conditions, don't let your health get less than half or you lose admission, just things to keep the players on their feet. And then they also introduce new enemies for arena for that Nightwave. You can even spread this across Setna, doing different missions to lower her defenses and make her more vulnerable. And at level 30 of Nightwave, you get to fight her yourself and her mechanics are changed. Maybe she straight up fights you in that fucking Gundam with rockets shooting all over the place, and players take constant fire damage so they have a health drain. And for finally beating her, maybe you get to wear her boss skin that's been programmed to fit every Warframe to show everyone just how much of a badass you are. And what if the big fight with Space Mom was like that? An epic month-long battle versus the Sentinels. Sentinel or are they Sentients? Lord. Sentience. Is it Sentinels? Sentience. I knew it was Sentience. What the hell am I doing? An epic long month battle versus a sentience, building standings and clawing our way to her, learning more about the sentience throughout the Nightwave, only for the players that hit level 30 to get the full lore and fight Space Mom herself. Like, I really don't play MMOs, so I'm sure they handle this a lot better than I just gave you, but I think that sounds a lot cooler than the Nightwave that we have now. So after this, I don't think I have much to say about the rest of the games. It'll just be quick notes about whatever I have left. Let us put augments into the Excellence slot, or just make a new mod slot for augments. I don't care how broken that would be. I'm tired of everyone having the same build. I'm tired of wanting to use augs, but it would make my build strictly worse, so I don't include them. Also, a lot of the augs just suck, so there's no reason to make my build worse for that aug. Reduce the build times for everything across the board. Also, it's really gross that I have to wait 3 days for a Warframe. Nothing should be longer than 24 hours, and even 24 hours is a bit much. Arcwing sucks. Make it not suck. Increase the drop chances across the board. Some things are like, what, 1%, 5%? No, I think it's like 0.1. Like, it's disgusting. Just increase it, please. Rework plan is to make them different. Why do missions on Earth play the same way as missions in the Void or on Pluto? I really like what you did with the Corpus planet. Just do that for other planets to varying degrees. Rework a Warframe every 2 months or so. Drop playable content for players 2 to 3 times a year, if not more. None of this 1-2 year drought. God. Rework old game modes. Arbitration sucks. ESO is just a glorified relic farm, just like every other mission that offers relics, because they all do. Other mission types haven't been updated in years and have bad spawn rates on top of other problems that need to be addressed, like arbitration. Probably get rid of the Riven system. Relics probably have to go too. I mean, I'm honestly not as offended by relics as I am with the Riven system, so if relics had to stay, I would be fine with it, but I think Riven should go. Put a training mode on the ship. I don't care if players only go to relays for the training room, which is why it's still there according to DE. That just means that you have designed something, relays, which serve no purpose, so relays need to be reworked, but the training room should be on the ship. I do not care what that does to the relay system. I don't know what raids are, but bring those back because players really want that. In case I didn't explain the changes to the weapons that well, each weapon will have their base stats, made by DE, but each blueprint for that weapon that you get from enemies or mission rewards will have its stats changed based on its Riven, supposition, whatever, and then you just pick from among those different, summer blueprints, the one that you want to build. So I guess in this case, the Riven disposition will just be changed to how strong the base stats are, and then scale the set changes based off of that. Listen, we've all played Ludo Shooters. I'm sure you know how this works. Let players trade without being in the clan. I don't care how that affects clans. I don't want to be forced to be in the clan just to trade. Also, we're going to turn bounties into quests, so whatever I said about quests would just apply to bounties too. Make content for vets. New players have the entire game to play. Not everything needs to be easy for them. Give things for players with good builds to do. It's not just vets, it's just a lot of players have nothing to do because everything's easy. Rework mods to be useful. I mean, look at all of this. They're not even mods that only are good in like certain situations. It's just 20 or so good mods and everything else is worthless. Like, take less cold damage. Who the hell dies to cold damage? Like, really? Someone suggested instead of putting auto lines on a timer, just make them a once a day mission, and if you fail, try again tomorrow. I don't know, probably do that. That seems like a good idea. Stop being so stingy with your rewards. Be better at dropping content, make an end game. I don't know what you guys are doing with 300 employees, but get it together. There's a lot you could be doing with this game that you just aren't. Like, I'm sure you have 2 graphic designers who could be making routine skin for players. You don't even make Warframe Prime reels anymore, which people have brought up. And lastly, I think Warframe as a whole needs to be reworked. Like, from the planets to ESO to the planes and to the void, none of it feels coherent or together. It just feels like a mismatch of different ideas stuffed into one game. Arcwing feels just as much as his own entity as ESO does. And I don't know, it's hard to explain, which is why it's in this section at the end. If you feel it, then you feel it. If you don't, then I probably sound crazy, so I don't know, just ignore this. So a quick recap. Rework the enemies to give them more moves and behaviors to make gameplay more diverse, reduce build times and raise drop chances, introduce quests, introduce missions with different effects similar to sorties, introduce mini bosses and throw real bosses into the enemy pool, rework mission types and spawn rates, get rid of the market and put all of the guns and cosmetics into the drop pool, and lastly, just make content, man. Also, rework all the planets to make them, if not as different as you make the Corpus planet, just slightly different. Like, playing all of the planets shouldn't feel the same. And like the void just feels like it should be something more than it is. But it's just the same as Earth, it's the same as Jupiter and Pluto and So this is my Make Warframe Great Again video. Hopefully it doesn't get shit on. If it does, as I said, this is the part where you may unmute the video and tell me why the game is perfect and I'm just full of shit. Do you agree with my changes, and what would you personally change about Warframe? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and sub to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter, check out my anime channel for trash opinions, or follow me on Twitch for when I do live streams. Peace. Thanks for watching.